welcome to another Thursday morning video. Today I am answering your most frequently asked questions. A few weeks ago I asked you on social networks to send me some questions you might want to ask me. A lot of you asked me the same questions actually, so I think I will answer the most popular ones. And I have on purpose left out some of them because in the next few weeks I will be posting on a Thursday morning a very special video which I've been working on for such a long time, and I will answer some of those questions there. So I thought instead of repeating myself in two videos, I will do some of them there and some of them now. So let's start these questions. So I decided to group them a bit by subject because sometimes a lot of them go about the same subject, so I will give you all these questions and talk about all the answers together. I think it's a bit better. I have a little list there with those questions. So the first ones are: how long have you lived in Ireland? What made you leave France? What do you miss the most about France? And which place do you consider as home? So I left France on the 26th of September 2006, which will be almost 9 years ago now. I didn't move to Northern Ireland straight away. I stayed for a year in Dublin first, which is in the Republic of Ireland, and then moved up to the north of Ireland a year later. So I've been in Ireland for almost 9 years and in the UK or Northern Ireland for almost 8 years. Then what made me leave France? Nothing made me leave France. I decided to move because I just wanted something new. I decided first to leave for just a year, and eventually about a few weeks after I arrived I liked it so much I just figured out I wasn't meant to live in France. I can't really explain it. I just felt like I belonged here more than I belonged in France. It's a very hard concept to get, I guess, if you haven't experienced it, but it's just, I think I wasn't meant to live in France. I was born in the wrong country, maybe. I don't really know. And the funny thing is that I am mostly Italian and I look mostly Irish, so I think I was just meant to live here maybe my whole life. I don't know. I just like this country so much, and I decided to go for a year and I stayed. What do I miss the most about France? The food. Definitely the food. The breads, the cheese, really, the cheese. The nice chocolate, because here chocolate doesn't taste as nice. I'm sorry, but Cadbury's chocolate to me doesn't taste nice. I like nicer chocolate, I guess. And I guess I'm not going to say the sun, because the sun doesn't like me. I do like the sun in small doses. So I'm not going to say the sun, but I'm going to say the fact that it doesn't rain as much. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I prefer, if I had to pick with always sun or always rain, I don't know what I would pick. But I can cope with rain more than I can cope with the sun in high doses. But too much rain is really too much rain. So yeah, James often says the ideal thing would be to spend the winter in France and the summer in Ireland, and I totally agree with that, because then you never actually get freezing or too high temperatures. It's kind of all nice ones, and you do get a decent amount of, not sunshine, because sunshine in Ireland doesn't really happen, but you get a decent amount of lack of rain. Let's put it this way. It's very hard to explain like that, but yeah. Yeah. And then, which place do I consider as home? This is a tricky one, and it's also hard for people to understand what I mean by that. My home right now is here in Northern Ireland, because this is where I have the house that we've made together, the home we've made together with James. I got married here, I got my children here, so really this is my home. My hometown is in France, but whenever I go to France on holidays I always think, oh, it will be nice to get back home, and by that I mean Ireland. So I guess the way I speak I always consider Ireland as home now anyway. So the next question, I've grouped the question about language in general. The first one is, does James speak French, and how did I learn English, and do the boys speak French or English or both? So I learned English in school. I started to go to an English class whenever I was 5 years old as a little out of school activity, and I had English in school. In France it is compulsory. If you go up to the equivalent of GCSEs, you do have about 7 years of English, or 5 years depending on which language you pick. So I've basically started learning English from when I was 5, and then I decided to do a degree in English at university, so I've done a degree in English after that. But believe me, the first time I set foot in Ireland when I moved there, the man looked at me at the train station and he wanted to ask me which station I was getting out at to be able to give me a train ticket going to this place. And to me, it sounded as a language I had never heard because when you learn English at school in France, you learn it with the very French accent from the teacher. In university, I did have quite a lot of teachers from various English-speaking countries, but never anybody with a strong Dublin accent, and it just took me really by surprise. Another fun fact, the first day I met James, I could not understand a word of what he was saying, so I just was going, yes, yes. I did pick it up quite quickly after that, but it probably was a bit funny because I'm pretty sure I've answered yes to a question who didn't really need a yes/no answer. I'm pretty sure I did, but he kept me anyway, so it wasn't that bad. Then, does James speak French? James did GCSE French and he got an F. Yeah, an F. Then he met me, and he always thought he would never be able to speak French in his life, but we just started to speak a little bit of French, and he eventually decided to go to evening classes in little university that's in Belfast that does evening classes for languages. So he's been doing that for quite a few years, and he was going to do his GCSEs in June this year, but because of his cancer, obviously he couldn't go to the classes anymore, so he had to stop it halfway through this year. But he has really improved, and he's at the point now when we go to France, he can actually have conversations with my family. A lot of my family, like my mom and dad's generation, would speak English. Some of it they've learned it in school, so it's quite rusty, but they can manage to have a conversation. But then people like my grannies don't speak English at all, so it was important for him to be able to communicate with them. But the main motivation was that Owen is getting to the point now where his French is better than James's. So he wants to be able to keep up basically with what Owen is saying, and Alfie in the future as well. So he will probably start the classes back again at some point, but with all the treatments and everything, it's a bit on hold, but he can have conversations with my family. Then for the boys, I do speak French mostly to the boys. I know in the vlog you see me speaking English to them mostly, but that's for the purpose of the vlog. I do speak English and French to them, and Jane speaks English to them. But Owen can understand absolutely everything in French. He can speak a lot of it. His English is better, obviously, because he's been going to school here, so I think it's always going to be his first language. But he can really have a conversation now in French as well, and I'm guessing Alfie will be the same. The next question is, how many children do you want to have, or do you want to have any more children? There's no simple answer to this question. What I can answer is that we always said we wanted to have 2 or 3 children, depending on our situation and how things go. We have 2, and we are very pleased with 2. We might only have 2, we don't know. The fact is that with James's cancer and his chemotherapy, we don't know if we can have any more. We've taken our precautions in case for any reason we couldn't have any more naturally, let's say, without any help, and if we decided to want any more. But at the moment Alfie is only 5 months old, and to be honest, I cannot think of having another child right now. So I can, but then I don't want to say for sure, because if I change my mind, and then you're gonna get back to me and saying, oh, but you said that. No, at the minute I didn't want any more, but I know it could change. Then to those people who say, will you try for a 3rd one so you can have a girl? No, not for that reason, because I've always been convinced I would have 3 boys, and I can bet if I have another child it will be another boy. But I'm really happy with my boys. I just like boys in general, and I like boyish stuff, even if I am surrounded by pinky things and all that. I do like boys things. I find boys easier than girls in general. I get on with boys better in daily life in general. So I would be very happy if I only had my 2 boys. It's already more than some people can have, and I'm very, very glad that we have them too. The last questions I will only talk about briefly, because I go into more details about these in that video I'm keeping talking about. It is, how did you start Mademoiselle Poupette, my sewing business, and how did I start the vlogs and YouTube? For the sewing business, I've always sewn since I was a child. My granny taught me how to sew then, and I used to sew at her house. And whenever I was pregnant with Eoghan, I had to be at home a lot because I wasn't well. So I started to sew just to pass the time. And I realized how much I loved it, and I just wanted to make something out of it. I started to make cushions, and my house was just not big enough to keep them all. So my friends kept saying to me, sell them, they are really nice, they would sell. So I did, and here I am. That's how it started, and since that then it became my part-time business, and now it's becoming my full-time business from next week, which is a little bit scary, but it is. When it comes to YouTube videos, I need to give you a little bit of background about myself before I can explain to you how I started. For a very long time I've always kept journals about everything I do. Sometimes it was really writing in details in journals what I was doing. Other times it was keeping little things like train tickets and leaves and things I would pick up on the ground and things, and sticking them in books. I've always done it different, various ways, and it's something I've always had in my life, and for some reason helps me to look back on little memories whenever I feel a little bit nostalgic or I just need to remember something. So I have watched for many years a lot of YouTubers. I actually watch YouTube a lot more than I watch my own TV, and I just love the fact in those vlogs that for the boys, they will be able to look back a lot on things they have done when they are an age they can't always remember. I think it's nice to have all these memories on camera, and they can just go back wondering, what did I do on the 1st of September 2014? Well, 2015 really, because in 2014 I was not doing that. And they can just look at it and see then. I just think I would love to have this for my childhood, and I think it's like a little time capsule, and I really enjoy doing it as well. The reason why I didn't do it before is because I was not brave enough. Plain and simple. I've been wanting to do this for ages, and I just always felt like I wouldn't be good enough at it, and that there are so many people doing it already, there's no point. But then I thought, it's not really for the other people I'm doing it, it's more for myself and my family, and who cares if only 1 or 2 people watch it? If it can help one person, even just one person in general, then I would be happy for that. And so far I've had the proof that it has helped quite a few people, picking up little tips and giving them a little quiet time in the day, and provide what some other people on YouTube provide me, like a little break in the day or a little happy thing to look at. I just don't know how to put it, but for those of you who have been following my videos quite intensely, let's say, which is an amazing thing, thank you so much, and I hope I answered most of your questions. I know I have left some out. Don't worry, but they will be answered very soon. So I hope you like this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you like those videos in general and you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. There's a red button down there to do so, therefore you'll be notified whenever I post more videos. And yes, that's it for this time. I hope you have a lovely week, and don't forget that we have videos up at 5 p.m. every day and at 10 a.m. every Thursday morning. And until the next video, I'll wish you a happy week. Bye.